guys, so today I have a video that I think is going to be really helpful for a lot of people who might be thinking about getting their first hamster, because the question I get asked a lot is, I don't have a lot of money but I want to get a hamster. Will a critter trail or something like that work, or a 10-gallon tank? And my answer to that is always no. So instead of just answering no and leaving it at that, today I wanted to do a whole video dedicated to showing you guys exactly how you can set up a complete hamster cage on a budget. Setting up an enclosure on a budget can be a great way to save money, but I do want to stress that just because we're setting an animal up for cheap doesn't mean that animal is always going to be cheap over the course of its life. So if you can't afford a pet, please don't get one. There are so many different aspects that go into owning a pet besides just the initial cost, and you really need to think of all of these before you decide if you can get a pet or not. So although the initial cost is usually a big factor, and that's why a lot of people want to save money, you also have to think about your ongoing cost. So with a hamster, you're going to have bedding that you have to buy all the time, food, and then you're going to have to replace toys and stuff over time. So there is a lot of ongoing expense that you need to take into consideration. Also, a huge thing that a lot of people overlook because it's just a hamster is vet care. Just because an animal might be small and inexpensive, it doesn't mean if it gets sick that you shouldn't take it to the vet. Being able to provide proper vet care for any animal you own is very important. If you guys saw my recent video about Gerg, my dwarf hamster, I just had to take him to the vet. Luckily that appointment was pretty minor, but it still cost me just over $100, and he does have to go back in a month, so I'm going to be spending more money then. So yes, I did put over $100 in vet care into a hamster I got for free, but like I said, just because an animal is small or inexpensive doesn't mean that it doesn't deserve vet care. So you do need to consider that when you're trying to decide if you can afford a new pet. But today we're going to be going over how to set up a budget cage. Just because you're on a budget doesn't mean you have to have a small wire cage. I get comments all the time that say, well, I can only afford a critter trail. I don't have a lot of money, so that's just going to have to work. And the fact of the matter is, critter trails aren't that cheap. The setup I'm showing you today might cost a little bit more than a critter trail, but it is going to provide your hamster with so much more space and a lot of the supplies that come with the critter trail, such as the wheel. Once you have it for a little while, you're going to notice that wheel's not going to work out, so you're just going to be replacing the cheap items that a critter trail comes with. So even though what I'm showing you today is going to be a little bit more expensive, everything is going to be suitable for your pet, and you're not going to have to replace anything once you get it home and you realize a week later that it's not working. So even though a critter trail or a similar cage might look cheap when you see it in the store, today I'm going to show you a much better budget option. So let's start off with the most important part that I get asked about a lot. What is a good budget cage? My go-to answer for this and what I'm going to be setting up today is always going to be a DIY bin cage. You're just going to be looking for any enclosure that's at least 450 square inches of floor space. That number is a little bit debated, and of course bigger is always better, but if you are looking for an affordable cage, making sure you hit that 450 is going to give you the best chance of having a happy and healthy hamster. So when you're looking for a bin, these bins are usually in the 105 to 115 quart range, and they run anywhere from about $10 to $20. You can find them at a lot of places. You can find them at Target, Walmart, Home Depot. The one I'm doing today I actually got at Target for only $16.99, and this is a 110 quart bin. This is a really popular bin that a lot of people use for their hamsters. So to convert this bin into an actual cage, we need to add ventilation. A lot of people will actually use hardware mesh that you can find at places like Home Depot, and they will cut out the complete top of the bin and then secure the mesh to it. This is the method I have always used in the past, but of course adding that mesh does add extra cost, and today we're trying to cut cost anywhere we can. So instead of using hardware mesh, I'm going to do a method I've never tried before, and we're just going to drill holes. So although drilling holes isn't going to cost anything, you're just going to need a drill. If you don't have one, I'm sure you can borrow one from someone. So it is going to be cheap, but we're going to need patience because we're going to have to drill a lot of holes. You're not just going to be able to drill a few holes on the top and call it good. Your hamster needs a lot of ventilation, so basically the entire top of the bin, you're going to want to have holes in it for proper ventilation. So it will take time, but this method is cheaper than hardware mesh. So once you have all your holes drilled, that is your cage. So you have proper ventilation. You can add some ventilation on the sides if you want. I know a lot of people will hardware mesh the sides. I personally never have before. I just do the top, and that is plenty of ventilation for my hamsters. But you can also mesh the sides if that's something you're interested in. But overall, this is all you're going to need for your basic enclosure. So now that we have our bin set up, it is time to add some bedding. Wood bedding is always going to be your cheapest option. You are going to want to make sure you find aspen. Aspen is the more expensive wood, but cheaper woods such as pine and cedar might save you a little bit of money, but they're not safe and they can cause some health issues in the long run. So you're going to be spending more money on vet care, so make sure you go with some aspen bedding. Paper-based beddings are also good as long as they're not scented. I personally prefer to use paper bedding, but they are going to be more expensive, which is why for today on a budget we're going to be showing aspen. You might think that you can save a little bit of money by using less bedding. I definitely recommend against this. Hamsters are burrowing animals and they do need a significant amount of bedding, so please don't try to cut corners in places that are going to negatively affect your hamster. Make sure you give them a large amount of bedding. So the bedding I'm using is from Petco. It is their So Fresh brand. This is a 56.6 liter bag, which I have used before. It is $14.49, but it's such a large bag that you're going to get multiple cleanings out of it. So when you break it up over time, this isn't just your initial cost. This will cut down on your ongoing cost because you're not going to have to buy new bedding for a while. So once you get your bedding in there, since aspen isn't the softest, I definitely recommend adding some type of nesting material so your hamster has something a little bit softer and nicer to make their bed out of. For this, you can use something that's basically free. It's something that everyone has in their house already. You can just use toilet paper. Toilet paper is completely safe and great to use for hamsters. They can rip it up themselves and make it into their nest. So that's definitely a great way you can save money on some nesting material. Now that we have our bedding in the cage, we need to add a wheel. A wheel is one area that I would not recommend trying to save money. It's going to be pretty hard saving money on a wheel unless you happen to find one secondhand, or if you're really handy and you can DIY one yourself. Wheels are extremely important. You definitely want to have a good quality one and one that is big enough. So like I said, this is one area where I would spend a little extra money to get something that's going to last a long time. If you're on a budget, you might want to look into a comfort wheel. They are very noisy. If you have your hamster in your bedroom and you're a light sleeper, you might want to look into something else. But if you're on a budget, a comfort wheel is a great option. It's a solid running surface and they come in multiple sizes. So if you're setting up an enclosure, you're going to want an 8.5 inch wheel for a dwarf. Some of your smaller Syrians can also use an 8.5 inch, but for most Syrians you are going to want the 12-inch wheel. So in today's video I'm demonstrating for a dwarf hamster, so I'm going to be using an 8.5 inch wheel. This actually isn't a comfort wheel, it's the PetSmart brand comfort wheel, but they're the exact same wheels, they're the same style and everything, and very similar in price. And the 8.5 inch version of this wheel is only $8.99, so it is pretty affordable. Now that the wheel's in, it is time to add our food and water. When you're looking for food dishes, I like to be creative. Look at places like the dollar store or the thrift shops for cheap little ceramic dishes. You definitely don't have to go to a pet store and spend like $5 or $7 on a dish. You can find some cute ones, but it is definitely very easy to save money on a food dish. Or if you don't want a food dish at all, a lot of people do scatter feed their hamsters and don't even use a dish. The dish I'm putting in was actually found at the Dollar Tree, so this dish only cost us $1. For a water bottle, for a cheap one, it's kind of hit and miss. A lot of people have leaky water bottles no matter what the brand is. There's actually a water bottle from Walmart that I'm going to be using. It's only like $2.48. I've used these in the past and I have had good luck with them, so it's definitely an affordable option. Some people also decide to use water dishes for their hamsters, so you could just get another dollar dish from the Dollar Tree and not even use a water bottle. The only thing about deciding to use a water dish instead of a water bottle is you're going to want to check your hamster very frequently to make sure there's no bedding that's in their water, so they do have water accessible at all times. Of course, even if you're using a water bottle, you need to change the water frequently, but with a water dish, you just need to check it to make sure they didn't fill it full of bedding and they can have access to water at all times. When it comes to filling our food dish, this is one area where I'm not going to give you any budget options. Kind of like wheel, nutrition is extremely important for your hamster's overall health and happiness. And there are a ton of hamster foods out on the market that aren't that great. They have a lot of additives such as added colors that you don't need, and a lot of their nutritional information really isn't the best. So although there are a handful of great foods out there, the ones I'm going to be recommending in this video are the ones that I personally use. The main thing where you can save money on these is is make sure you price match. Both PetSmart and Petco price match online prices, and they're always a ton cheaper, so never go into PetSmart and Petco and buy these foods at the prices listed in the store. Always make sure you pull up the website on your phone and price match to save a lot of money. So the Higgins Sunburst, if you price match, you can get it for just over $5. I believe it was $5.39 right now, and that is for a 2.5 pound bag. And the Missouri Rat and Mouse pellets, which adds a little bit extra protein to your hamster's diet, price matched, a 2 pound bag is only $6.89 currently. So it does save you quite a bit of money if you compare that to what they're trying to sell it for in store. The good thing is, with 4.5 pounds of food, if you only have one hamster, this is going to last you a pretty decent amount of time, so you're not going to be spending this amount every month. It is going to be an ongoing expense, of course, but you're not going to be spending money on food super frequently. So now that we have all the essentials, we're going to move on to hides and toys. These are very important because, of course, your hamster needs chews to keep their teeth worn down, and they need hides and toys so they can feel safe and secure in their home, along with just providing them with an enriching environment to keep their minds stimulated so they don't get bored. Even though these items are very important and you're gonna need multiple of them, it is very easy to save money on them, making stuff yourself or just repurposing things that you find not in traditional pet stores. One way you can make hides yourself is just cardboard boxes. Some people will only use boxes that are completely natural. It's just kind of up to you and what you're comfortable with. Definitely do some research on that. You can also make DIY hides and toys out of just some popsicle sticks and hot glue. So if you have a hot glue gun laying around your house, go out to the dollar store or Walmart, spend a few dollars on some popsicle sticks, and you can have multiple hides and toys for your hamster. Like I mentioned, it's also great to look at non-traditional pet stores. Check out the Dollar Tree, check out thrift stores. I found a lot of great ceramic items that may just be little decorative items that are actually great hides for hamsters. So you just have to make sure everything is safe. Most of your ceramic items, as long as you take it home and get it sanitized and make sure there's no paint or anything coming off, you'll be good to go. Along with that, most hamsters seem to love tunnels, and a great way to provide free tunnels to your hamster is using toilet paper tubes or paper towel tubes. This is an item I'm sure most of you have lying around your house that you're just going to throw away or recycle anyway, so you can just go ahead and put that in your hamster's cage. If you are giving a toilet paper tube to a Syrian hamster, I do recommend cutting it down the side so it does open up, because Syrian hamsters are on the larger side and you don't want them getting stuck in there, but they do make a great free tunnel for your hamster. So now that we have all our hides and tunnels in there, we need some chews. Having a variety of chews is very important. Even if you don't see your hamster chewing a lot, I'm sure they are, and the best way to get your hamster to chew is to give them a variety of different textures and materials to see what they prefer. One chew that I like to recommend to people who might have a new hamster and they don't know what they like is the combo chew. I really like this because it's only like $3.95. You can actually get this on Pickles Pet Shop. Doing a little self-promotion right now. I do have my own online shop, Pickles Pet Shop, where I sell these. But the reason I like this so much for people who might not know what their hamster likes is it does come with two different types of toys. So you get your classic chew stick in there, which is just a natural wood, and then you also get some really cute little puzzle pieces that are made out of loofah. So if you're not sure which one your hamster is gonna like, you can only buy one toy and your hamster has two separate options. So now that you have some chews in there, we are done. This cage is a pretty basic setup, but it's a really good place to start, especially if you're trying to save a little bit of money. I don't have the numbers in front of me now, but I will put them on the screen. But when you add all of this up and take into account that the food and the bedding are going to last you a long time, although the price is more than a critter trail you might see in PetSmart, it's not significantly more when you think about what you're getting and the quality of items you're using. Your hamster is getting a ton more space, a large wheel that is going to be suitable for its life, along with really high quality food and bedding. So you're definitely better off spending a little bit more at the beginning and just getting a cage that you're not going to have to worry about upgrading in a week when you get your new hamster home and realize they're not happy in their tiny little cage. Like I said, this is a pretty basic cage. You can always add more. A lot of hamsters, especially dwarfs, you'll want to add a sand bath, and you can just add a lot more toys and different enrichment items. I like to switch mine out pretty frequently so your hamster has new stuff to explore and they don't get bored. I definitely don't think you should ever go into getting a hamster and just trying to give them the bare minimum, but there are a few great ways you can cut back on cost, so you can use that money to save up for more important items like having proper nutritious food and maybe saving up a vet fund so if your hamster does get sick later on, you have that money set aside so you can take them to the vet. That is it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you guys have any money saving tips, let me and everybody else know down in the comments. I will definitely be down in the comments reading everything because I'm always interested. You guys always have some great ideas. But if you guys did enjoy this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I will see you guys next time.